You are listening to your new Puppies podcast, starting you and your dog off on the right paw. Here's your host, Debbie Salento.
Hello and welcome to episode 110 of your new Puppies podcast. I'm Debbie, and today we're going to talk about puppy witching hour. Now, if you're already experiencing this, you probably have an inkling of what I'm talking about. This is those moments, usually in the evening, that's why we call it puppy witching hour, where your puppy goes a little bonkers. They go from playing with you maybe a little roughly, but in general nicely, to all of a sudden it becomes this sudden, really intense nipping. This is when maybe you're playing with your puppy and things are going well. Maybe they're being a little mouthy or a little rough. And then all of a sudden they start to amp it up and it becomes this sudden, intense nipping. Almost like a more frantic type of play. Maybe they're lunging at your hand and not even trying to go for the toy anymore. Some will even start to vocalize a little more. And it almost feels like for a moment, you're like, is my puppy attacking me or is this play? You get a little confused for a second. And your puppy might also be thinking the same thing. Because in these moments, when you're usually able to redirect them, there's no getting through to them at all. And they're not being aggressive. That is not what's happening. They are overstimulated, overtired. Maybe they're frustrated with something. This can happen a lot if you're telling them no, they can't have something. And that's what almost starts to happen in these moments because they're doing something that's clearly inappropriate. And the more you try to redirect them or, tell them no in some way, the more frustrated they get. And it actually escalates the situation. So the first thing to note, and what brings a lot of my students some relief when we start talking about this, is that this is normal. This is a normal developmental thing that puppies go through. Because what's actually happening is that their little brains are having a lot of trouble processing too many emotions. That's why this happens when they're overstimulated, when they're overtired, and they don't have emotional regulation yet. Just like a toddler tantrum, where they can throw tantrums over something that seems trivial, but to them, the emotions are so big and their little bodies and their brains aren't developed enough to be able to handle that yet. Puppies go through the same exact thing. In fact, when I use the word puppy tantrum, that gets a lot of yes, that's what feels like is happening. So that's why in these moments when it feels like we need to discipline our puppy in some way, what we really need to do is support them. And that sometimes feels counterintuitive in the moment. But this is where I have to remind my clients that your puppy isn't giving you a hard time. They're having a hard time. And to top it all off, since this is happening at the end of the day, it's we're tired. We might have a little less patience. And this can also happen when it's you've had a really great day with your puppy. And you're they were so good all day long. We took them here, we took them there. And that's probably why this is happening. They've had a big day. They're probably tired. They spent the entire day being good. And sometimes that takes a lot of energy for a puppy. A lot of puppies can hold it together when they're in environments they might not be familiar with. But then that means they let it all go when they get home where they're comfortable. And this can feel really defeating. But with so many things I talk about, just knowing that it's normal, and then we can take a deep breath and hopefully not take it personally. Now, in these moments, it can be really easy to be my puppy didn't get enough exercise. Because all of a sudden they have all of this energy that seems to be just exploding out of their pores. So maybe we tried to play with them more. Maybe we tried to give them a new toy. And they actually need the opposite. They actually need an opportunity to rest. This is where, the time that you've put in with the crate and, maybe feeding them a frozen Kong or a frozen maize bowl can come in handy. And the one idea that I need you to let go of is that this is not a teachable moment. This is not the moment to teach them how to be calm or try to teach them what they're doing is wrong in some way or get them to sit and stay. This is not the moment for that because that's just setting the both of you up for failure. Again, their brains are on overload already. They're not going to learn anything in this moment. The good news I can give you is that puppies grow out of this. They learn to self-regulate. They learn like all the times, outside of these tantrums that we're teaching them calmness and self-soothing will help these moments become less and less as they develop good habits with you. It doesn't make them a bad puppy. It doesn't make you a failing owner. It's simply part of raising your new puppy. This is an emotional reaction, not a behavioral one. That's the most important thing to take away from this. Remember, they're not giving you a hard time in these moments. They're having a hard time. And simply understanding that can turn these what can seem to be scary little moments into, okay, this is just a puppy and I can manage this. There are many different ways to handle this in the moment, depending on your puppy, depending on exactly what's going on. But the place I usually start is let them chill in their crate. Give them something. We put them in there calmly. It's not like, get in there, you're misbehaving. We know that that's wrong. It's, okay, you're signaling to me it is time for a nap. Here's a toy, here's a bone, here's a chew, here's, a frozen Kong. You're going to rest for a while. It's all in how you do it. I have a few other episodes that address nipping, including how to identify when it's just time to have them rest. I'm going to link to all of those in the show notes. Episode 46 is going to be the main one. So it's playtime pause / episode 46. There'll be a couple others if you want to just check out the show notes. And that is all I have for you today. If you're finding these moments that you would love some extra support on, that's exactly what I do in my program, Your Perfect Puppy. In fact, this is one of the topics that when I have a group of puppy owners and we start talking about it, everybody is just relieved that they're not the only ones going through it. So if that kind of support seems like something you would want, check out playtimepause.com / puppy for details on the whole program. Otherwise, if you're enjoying this podcast, the best way to support me is to rate and review it wherever you listen so other puppy owners find the podcast. And as always, I thank you so much for listening. I'll speak with you soon. Bye for now.